Coming up on today's episode, our top Blu-ray picks for 2009, why you might want to wait before you build your next home theater PC, the latest on 3D and HD, and the releases for the week of December 29th, 2009. This is HD Nation.
HD Nation.
Today's episode is brought to you by Gamefly, Netflix, and the National Fight Against Drunk Driving. Over the limit, under arrest. Because who wants to spend the holidays in jail?
Welcome to HD Nation. I'm Robert Heron.
And I'm Patrick Norton. HD Nation is your guide to the best in HD content and the best in home theater gear, no matter what your budget is. Blu-ray, online, satellite, or cable. If it's HD, we like it. Thinking about building a home theater PC? You might want to wait until after the first week of January because Intel, well, they didn't release pricing, but they made it clear that they'll have 27 new SKUs or products right after CES, or at least the first day of CES. We're talking 17 processors, 3 chipsets, 7 wireless chipsets. January 7th, it is the first day of the Consumer Electronics Show, and we're talking about a lot. Basically, a revamp of the entire processor lineup, and they're adding HD graphics, right? That's their big name now. Promises Blu-ray playback from Intel's GPUs, the ones that are integrated in the cheap motherboards, along with Dolby True HD and DTS HD Master Audio in the cheap chipsets. This is a good thing. The new processors, Core i3 in the low end, Core i5 in the mid, Core i7 on the high end, will all be on the 32nm process, which promises more efficiency, and you can always expect a cut in the pricing on older models when the slate of new chips hits the street.
Good deal.
Yes.
And of course, we're going to be building a new home theater PC next week.
Or we're waffling on that right now. Well, right? So the idea of like getting like a Core i5 processor or a Core i3 processor that can do Blu-ray for not much money, it's really tempting to see what comes out on the 7th of January.
And good integrated audio support.
Yeah.
Yay.
Great
Love that.
integrated audio support.
I'm curious to see though.
Decent 3D acceleration.
Ooh, hopefully.
Yes.
Hopefully.
That's why they call it integrated HD or Intel HD. In any case, we'll have more on those. Or actually, we have the details on January 7th. Actually, probably with our CES coverage.
I'm thinking that's exactly when we're going to have it.
We're going to CES soon.
Also this week we had the Blu-ray Association. They announced the 3D specification has been finalized and released this week. Now, according to the Disc Association for Blu-ray, 1080p to both eyes and backward compatibility with older players as well. You won't get the 3D effect, but you still get the playback ability. And the PS3 will be upgraded to support 3D as well. And no surprise, the biggest chip maker that drives most of these set-top boxes, Broadcom, announced that their chip that supports the 3D functionality for a Blu-ray player is ready to go. So I'm expecting lots of TVs, lots of set-top boxes at CES that we're going to be digging into.
Do you think it's going to be like display models or actual like we're shipping in March?
Yeah, shipping in March, but prototypes are going to be working there, I bet, right on the floor. Because that's
what
pretty
are
much a part
2, 3 titles that are Blu-ray, Blue 3 HD, Blue HD 3?
They'll start dumping them out.
Okay.
lots of titles coming soon.
Oh my goodness. Hey, we got a couple links and articles if you want to get more in depth on this, recommended by our buddies over at High Def Disc News. Those will be in the show notes if you want to get in depth on that. Meanwhile, Lord of the Ring fans, there's a date on Amazon's pre-order page for the Lord of the Rings, the motion picture trilogy, and it's April 6, 2010. $100 MSRP, $70 on Amazon. We're talking 9 discs. 9 discs.
Oh, jeez.
I guess to In the Darkness, well, at 1 disc should rule them all and buy, whatever, sorry, bad joke attempt there. 1 each for the Fellowship of the Rings, the 2 Towers, the Return of the King, 3 for the digital copies of each feature, and 3 discs of added features, something like 7+ hours of added, 7 glorious hours of Hobbits,
yeah,
Robert.
Yeah, Hobbits suck, and so do Wizards. But that Strider dude, he might be okay. And I can't bother waiting for him to show up though, just too many furry-footed hobbits running around
Someday
this movie.
we're going to strap you to a chair and make you watch the whole series. On that bright and cheerful note, my guilty pleasure in HD this week is either A, binge watching the National Geographic Channel in HD, or Death Race. Death Race is fun, really fun. Ian McShane, Jason Statham, and Joan Allen fun. Brilliant cinema? No. Fun? Yes. And when the, I can't say that word, is Deadwood coming out on Blu-ray? Speaking of Ian McShane, When?
Are you a Deadwood fan?
I'm a huge Deadwood fan.
You and your revisionist westerns? I do love the cursing, though.
Oh,
That's
it's brilliant. It's brilliantly written. It is a magnificent, it's a great, it's a wonderful language.
I've taken the deep dive into the first 5 seasons of Lost. I have yet to watch any of this show.
Is this why you're not answering your phone?
Probably not. And I'm doing this streaming through Netflix in HD, and I was using my TiVo, but I was getting basically jumpy performance. It kept buffering and buffering.
Oh, weird.
And then I'm using a wireless connection to my TiVo, so I switched over to the PS3. It also is hooked up wirelessly to my home network. It was just fine. So
weird.
I'm glad I had 2.
You didn't do like another TiVo firmware update or something?
No, you know what? I checked everything as far as the network goes. I'm resetting stuff and getting new IP addresses and whatnot. And
this is why everything should be wired.
I just switched over to the PS3 and it just worked, and I was really happy about that. And you know what? That PS3 also shows you the bit rate of the videos it's being streamed in, which is, I don't know, just if you're a nerd and you like to know that kind of information.
What kind of bandwidth are we talking there?
I was getting 3.5 megabit, roughly, on average for their HD. Yeah, and network. I think it's G wireless in the PS3. So it was doing dandy.
Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, our favorite Blu-ray disc of 2009. But right now, let's thank one of the sponsors that helps us bring the show to you every week. Gamefly. Gamefly is the largest online video game rental service and offers you a choice from over 7,000 new and classic gaming titles across all consoles and handhelds. With plans starting at $15.95 a month, as a Gamefly member, you can rent 1 to 4 games at a time and keep them for as long as you like. No late fees, no due dates, and the shipping is always free. Once you're done playing a game, just send it back and Gamefly sends you the next available game on your list. If you really, really like the game you're playing, simply click Keep It on the Gamefly website and the game is yours at a discounted price. Gamefly will even mail you the case and manuals free of charge. Want to check it out? HD Nation fans get a 2-week free trial when they go to www.gamefly.com/HDNation. Some restrictions do apply. See the site for details, and please check out Gamefly at gamefly.com/HDNation. If our producer Roger Chang was picking the top Blu-ray movies of 2009, the list would be 2 items long. The Watchmen and The Dark Knight.
Really?
We're done. Yeah.
I just got The Watchmen. I haven't watched it yet, though.
And it took him a second because the Dark Knight came out so long ago. He was like The Watchmen. And then all of a sudden you could see the gears going. And I'd like to say there was a sophisticated balloting system, including the entire, Revision 3 HD Nation production team. No, we basically sent around an email. And it was really funny because both you and I basically were like 400 titles. And then we were like, okay, we got to pick like 10.
I was really happy. High Def Disc News has a list of all the releases for the whole year going back 2009. I was just going through there going, oh yeah, I like that movie. I like that one. I like that one.
A lot of movies came out.
I like that one. A lot. More than I have time to watch.
Serafina, our associate producer, would definitely add Star Trek to that twosome to make it a threesome.
Me too.
And I bet, I didn't ask her about this, but I bet if she thought a bit longer, she'd add the raft of Brad Pitt titles that came out this year. She brought Fight Club, Ocean's 11, and a few other Brad Pitt movies to capture footage for a show that came out like a month ago, and she still has them. You done with those yet, Serafina? No, she's not. Is she still capturing for that show?
Oh, well, Patrick and I are...
No comment. She's
no
like
comment?
silence. Not at all. I think she's glaring behind the camera.
Uh-oh, here it goes. Well, Patrick and I are a tad more generous. Those movies are great, but I'll add Groundhog Day. Now, if this movie doesn't make you laugh, you really have major problems. And like the movie, it's easy to watch that over and over and over again, repeatedly. Anyway, The Matrix, I can now dump my HD DVD player now. No, I won't. I have too many HD DVD movies. I will never get enough. And I have to give a shout out to the Spears and Muscle High Definition Benchmark disc in Blu-ray. That's my recommendation for home calibration of your HD TV. And it has some great test patterns too to make sure your video processing is working right. And it's a great disc just in terms of its navigation. Somebody did that right, and I'm really happy about that. Also, 3 Days of the Condor. It's a 70s film, actually, and it's one of the best conspiracy thrillers to come out. And it stars Robert Redford and Faye Dunaway, and it's a gorgeous transfer to Blu-ray, and it really holds up over time. It's basically a CIA operative movie gone haywire. And did have a mono soundtrack originally, but you know
what? Is that the best soundtrack? Because they translate Dolby True HD, and it's like mono to Dolby True HD. It's there. But this was that movie came out years before surround sound was really kind of like a standard.
But the story is epic, I have to say. Yeah. Anyway, just a good one to check out if you haven't seen it before. And
put it on your Netflix list.
No Country for Old Men. It came out in 2008, but the disc came out in 2009. So,
okay. I'll see your No Country for Old Men. I'll raise you another flick from 2008, Iron Man. Probably my most watched movie from 2008 and 2009. Okay, 2009 movies, I gotta send props to the brilliant restoration of The Wizard of Oz, which I will be using to blow my toddler's little mind on Christmas afternoon. It's either gonna be like joyous rapture or running screaming from the room when the little monkeys start flying in the sky. Battlestar Galactica, the most complete series. Battlestar Galactica, the complete series.
The most complete.
Yeah, probably the most ridiculous packaging in 2009, but also a collection of great stories and gorgeous video and Starbuck. Yay, Kara Thrace. Kung Fu Panda, gorgeous, funny, and a surround soundtrack that is a benchmark. It sounds unbelievable. Up, because I love Pixar's work on Blu-ray. Doug's Special Mission made me tear up, and again, another spectacular sounding movie. And Inglourious Bastards, because Tarantino's fun again in this one, and who doesn't love watching Nazis die in high definition? Or Brad Pitt being particularly peculiar, even by Brad Pitt character actor standards.
You are so cheerful.
I know, who doesn't love watching Nazis die? Oh well, new releases?
Let's do them.
All right.
Time for the Blu-ray releases for the week of December 29th, 2009. End of the decade, people. First up, 9. It's Shane Acker's feature-length debut based on his Academy Award-winning short film featuring the voice talents of Elijah Wood, Christopher Plummer, Crispin Glover, Jennifer Connelly, and many more. It's an impressive story, but if you're more about the eye candy, check out Megan Fox in Jennifer's Body, also releasing this week. And you might want to save this next movie for when there are a few more daylight hours in the day, or at least grab the nearest snuggie to hide under, because Paranormal Activity is now available for your consumption. Also for release this week are the direct-to-video, The Marine 2, and the latest project from David Twohy, who wrote and directed the 2 Riddick movies. It's a Perfect Getaway, starring Steve Zahn and Mila Jovovich.
Coming up next, we got some more viewer questions for you, but first let's take a moment to thank one of our sponsors, Netflix.
If you're looking for a place to find a great selection of Blu-ray discs, look no further than our next sponsor, Netflix. With Netflix, you can rent over 90,000 titles online, including lots of Blu-ray titles, with free shipping both ways to your home. They now have over 40 shipping centers, so almost all deliveries happen in just one business day. Plans start from $4.99. As a new member, you can get a no-risk 2-week free trial membership. Check it out at www.netflix.com/HDNation. Please remember to type the www when using this code.
Is it the end of the year?
It is the end of the decade, man.
It's a scary concept.
Yeah,
Ending the decade, we got this great question from Brian about the finish used on HDTV screens. He writes in, what are the advantages and disadvantages of glossy versus matte HDTVs? Thanks, love the show, Brian. So, glossy versus matte.
Yeah. Well, your matte
One's
finish
shiny.
screens, yeah, one is shiny. The most obvious thing would be the reflection characteristics of the panel itself, the surface.
So if you want to be able to do your
Glossy.
makeup, get a glossy one.
Yep, or if you're dealing with hot overhead lights or a bright room with lots of windows and things like that, perhaps the glossy reflection, especially if you're dealing with letterboxed movies or somewhere you can actually see the black of the screen, it becomes much more noticeable. If you're always watching 16:9 content or the screen's completely filled with video, the reflection isn't as noticeable. It's still there, but it's a lot less noticeable. So if you're dealing with a bright room, say you've got to have the TV set right near a window and the light's going to hit it directly, you might want to consider one of the matte finish screens to help minimize that glare.
Are there any HDTV models out there where they give you the exact same model, but you can choose between a matte and a reflective screen?
Yeah, Samsung's pretty good about that. They have their shiny surface filter on a lot of their sets, but they also usually offer a similar model with a matte finish screen as well within the same series. And I really do appreciate that. One of the benefits, though, for these shiny filters, 3M actually makes most of them, is that it improves contrast, the appearance.
Oh, really?
It makes black look blacker. That's why a lot of new notebooks now are coming with those shiny surface filters.
So they're not just being shiny to annoy you, they're actually doing it because it makes...
liquid. Makes it look like liquid black.
Interesting.
Yes, so that's the benefit. I like the look of it, but if you're dealing with a bright room, and I just recently helped a friend set up his living room, and it's all windows, and he can't tolerate that kind of a glare on the screen, so we wanted the matte finish screen.
So generally speaking, you prefer the shiny because of the deep blacks,
Oh, yeah.
but if you are dealing with a lot of light, go with the matte.
Totally, that's it,
All right.
exactly.
What's coming up next?
Well, let's see. Daniel writes in. He goes, Dear HD Nation, after watching The Dark Knight and The Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen on Blu-ray, I've noticed that the IMAX scenes look phenomenally better than anything else on Blu-ray so far. This made me curious as to why can't they make the entire movie of this quality, and when will they? Thanks to Daniel out of Encino, California.
Oh boy. Okay, so 6 sequences in The Dark Knight were shot in IMAX, talking about 20 minutes of the final cut. This is the first time a feature film was partially shot in IMAX HD. It's something that director Chris Nolan had wanted to do forever, and actually I want to say, what was the movie he did before that? The Prestige, right? He actually experimented some on the set of The Prestige with an IMAX camera. Now, have you ever actually seen an IMAX camera? They are huge. Even the regular HD ones, not like the 3D ones where they have like 22 cameras arrayed in a circle. Okay, not 22, a few less than that. Basically, IMAX HD is prohibitively expensive. Big frames of 70mm film that pack tons of detail, but they use a lot of film. IMAX HD runs at 48 frames per second, so you get less strobing on a more HD looking image and all of that rich detail, right? It's just a huge frame of film, but each reel lasts half as long as a regular 70mm reel. What does that mean? 2.5 minutes per reel, and according to some of the folks that were working on the set with Chris Nolan, one camera they used was 30 seconds per load. So shoot 30 seconds of film, stop down, and swap in another camera. These cameras are huge. They are big and bulky, and they take a while to load. So in many cases, the photographers, the cinematographers, were actually swapping a pair of these huge cameras. They'd shoot with one while the other was being loaded, then swap the cameras back and forth. They are so heavy, they actually broke one of the Steadicam rigs. Like, they put the camera down on it, and the Steadicam rig just broke off the front of the guy who was holding it. Who
Spring
must have
goes
been
flying.
A monster. So quotes put this, like, IMAX shooting as something like 3 to 5 times as expensive as a regular feature. And that is the reason why you're not going to see any IMAX feature films anytime soon, unless somebody comes up with a ridiculous budget.
Totally. And another thing, too, you'll see improvements generally with Blu-ray releases going forward because some of the film scanning technologies have improved so much. There's a big push now to go for 8K scanning, basically scanning a film frame using 8,000 lines of resolution.
That's where the Wizard of Oz came from.
And then being able to clean that up nicely and automating that process too. So I expect Blu-ray will just continue to incrementally get better and better as far as the transfer quality looks.
But the whole IMAX thing, I mean, IMAX is just a spectacular piece of technology for capturing.
Dark Knight, though, I find it annoying because it switches between full frame 16:9 during the IMAX sequences, like the beginning of the movie, then suddenly it's letterboxed.
And then it's 16:9, and then it's letterboxed.
And it jumps back and forth, and it's a little annoying. It breaks the continuity. It takes me out of the moment, and I'm suddenly paying attention to the look of the screen than the movie content itself.
Exactly.
But I appreciate that detail too, and I'd like to see more of it.
All we need to do is figure out a way to make IMAX cheap. Coming up next, what happens when you lay a plasma HDTV on its back? Are we talking unicorns or doom? First though, let's thank one of our sponsors, the National Fight Against Drunk Driving. Understand, people, alcohol, drugs, and driving do not mix. The message is simple. Drinking and driving over the limit, under arrest. Please do not put yourself or others in danger. Law enforcement officials will be out in force all over the country from December 17th through the new year, cracking down on drunk drivers. Beyond putting your life at risk, you could cost yourself a bundle of time and money. Jail time, the loss of your driver's license, higher insurance rates, and dozens of unanticipated expenses like attorney fees, other fines and court costs, car towing and repairs, lost time at work, and more. Plus, the thing is, it can be avoided so easily. You can still go out and have fun. Just plan ahead. If you're going to drink, designate a driver, call a taxi, use mass transit, or find yourself a sober ride program, or just walk. There is no excuse for drinking and driving, people. Don't do it. It's selfish, it's irresponsible, and it's dangerous to the people around you and yourself.
J.E. wrote in asking, my wife and I are looking to replace my 7-year-old rear projection monster, a 65-inch 1080i Hitachi RPTV. I don't think I can handle losing any screen size. What are your best recommendations for large 65-inch or larger screens? Thanks, J.E. What's J? I gotta know what the...
Jonathan Edwards.
Oh, very cool.
Django Einhardt.
J.E. needs a big TV.
Yeah, wow. So you must have paid a fortune for that. 7-year-old 65-inch 1080i
Probably like $4,000 back in the day.
At least.
Maybe more.
Okay.
Projection. If you can do a projection screen, that's
you can have like a 120-inch
That's
screen.
the ultimate. You get yourself a front projector, which, you know, we haven't done many reviews of those lately, but there are some good resources to that. ProjectorCentral.com has a great selection, a search tool and review sections and things like that. That's one of the resources I always turn to when I'm just looking for specs and features for projection systems. For flat panels, your best cost scenario is going to be with plasma technology. Panasonic has some 65-inch models now that are relatively affordable. They're going to be big and they're going to be heavy, so if you're going to be wall mounting it, consider that when you're thinking about maybe bolting that to the wall. It is going to be a bit of weight.
So for a 65-inch 1080p screen, are we talking at the very low end, maybe a 100 Hz screen, $2,500 at this point?
Well, if you're dealing with plasma, pixel refresh rates are super fast, like quote-unquote 600 Hertz, you can think of it as, in a sense. But if you're looking at LCD screens, Sharp actually, I was in Costco the other day, my local, club superstore, and they had a 60-inch.
Some motor oil and shirts and an HDTV.
They had Sharp's latest 60, yes. And what was those? Oh, never mind. I was shopping like crazy, buying bulk. But But anyway, Sharp had a 60-inch screen for $2,200. That is a phenomenal deal when you consider most of the other manufacturers offer screen sizes up to 55 inches for more money.
Right.
So, and that was 120 hertz, 1080p resolution. Their 65-inch screen, I think the price jumped up to about $3,500. So there was a premium if you're going to go that big. Sharp also announced a 65-inch screen as well. They have it out now. I think it's in their 650 series. You can check that out on their website. I forget the pricing off the top of my head, but those are the two big screen options. Going anywhere above that, the 70-inch screens that are available, those are prohibitively expensive, and you're going to pay through the nose to get one of those screens. So 65 is about as big as you're going to go for LCD or plasma technology without breaking the bank. And otherwise, the 60-inch screen I just mentioned, though, from Sharp is probably one of the best deals I've seen.
Are there any rear projecting televisions left at this point?
Mitsubishi is still the king, and they're pretty much the only company left doing that.
Or the last king standing.
That would be your best value in a standalone TV, really, as far as you can get screen sizes up to 83 inches in that case. But you're dealing with some of the drawbacks for a rear projection television, namely, the picture's not going to be as bright as you can get with the direct view televisions, or LCD screens for that matter. And I find that viewing angles just aren't there. And you're dealing with issues like overscan that's just inherent with the technology. And I'm done with rear projection. I'd rather have a front projector than a rear projector at this point.
There we go.
Unless you're doing a custom rear projection. That's a whole nother topic.
Oh, don't even go there, dude. Our final question comes from Scott in Tulsa. He writes, my understanding from working at an electronics retailer and the receiving, that's down in the dock, people unloading the trucks, plasma HDTVs cannot be laid down on their backs because the plasma tends to settle and screws up the pixel quality when returned upright. But a buddy says if they're laid at a slight angle, this isn't going to happen. Is this true? Scott in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've definitely heard, like, never transport a plasma television on its back. Keep them vertical at all times.
Yes.
Because the unicorns run out, right?
Yes. No, plasma does not leak out of a TV no matter what angle you lay the display at. For plasma televisions, the plasma gas, the mixture of gases that are in the individual cells, it's glass sealed. It's sealed glass.
And it's not really plasma until the current is running through it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's a xenon and neon is the gas mixture. That's electrically excited, creating the plasma that then excites the phosphor, that then generates the light, and then that gets pushed through a color filter, and then you get the picture you see.
So the plasma isn't even happening while the machine is unplugged. What's the deal?
There's no leaking. There is no refilling. That's all just a long perpetuated myth that just doesn't seem to want to die. So.
But why do you not want to ship them on their backs?
Shock. And possibility of cracking the display. That's the #1 reason, really. It's just you want to keep them upright because they're made to take the load in that direction, vertically. Rather than you lay it flat and it has a tendency to flex, or if you hit a bump, it would just give the whole panel, if there is some flex in the panel, that would give it a chance to crack the display itself. And I've seen enough cracked plasmas to know it's game over at that point.
And the truth is, it's not just plasmas. All big screen televisions should be stored vertically the way they were designed, not horizontally on their backs.
It used to be with rear projections too. If you laid them on their back as well, you could actually knock the projector out of alignment, and then it would just more mess. So generally speaking, you don't want to lay a panel on its back. On its flat, unless you have to. But there are some circumstances where you would, like if you're assembling the display, like to put a stand on it, they usually tell you to be very carefully lay it flat on a hard, flat surface. And that's okay, but for transporting, never. Don't do it.
Unless you're very, very gentle and very, very lucky. Just generally speaking, though.
Keep it upright. Be safe. Hey, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode of HD Nation. As always, we want to know what you think. So send us your comments, questions, or suggestions to hdnation@revision3.com.
Hey, head over to revision3.com/hdnation. You'll get all the show notes, you'll get all the links to everything we talked about in today's episode, and you'll find all the links to subscribe to the show no matter how you want to watch it. So if you're not getting the latest episode of HD Nation delivered to your podcatcher or whatever you're using to watch our show, what are you waiting for?
That's right, subscribe and watch, and until next time,
thanks for watching. I'm Patrick Norton.
And I'm Robert Heron. We'll see you next year, next decade.
Next week? Oh my
goodness. End of the year.
We're going to
everything. Oh yeah, we'll be there. I'm going to Vegas.
Go to Vegas!
How bad is that?